Well, on the subject of Obama, you stated last week in this forum that Obama's popularity is precipitously plummeting, and it might be time to consider the pathway of Richard Nixon. This continues to be the case, not only with the opposition Republican Party, but also from within Obama's own Democratic Party in many different ways. And you really do have a situation in which the crimes of this president are crowding in around him, and you see an organized resistance to this president being formed across party lines. Very interestingly, this past Wednesday, I had a chance to attend a press conference on Capitol Hill with Mr. Charles Woods, who was the father of one of the four Americans who died on the night of September 11th, 2012 in Benghazi, Tyrone Woods. And Charles Woods was on Capitol Hill speaking about a petition which he had circulated, which has received 700 signatures from special operations professionals calling for the creation of a select committee to get to the bottom of what really happened in Benghazi. And Mr. Woods was joined by Representative Frank Wolf, Mo Brooks, and Chris Smith at this press conference. And the continuing question which Woods posed was, the fundamental question is, why is the Obama administration continuing to cover up the truth? Why was there no military support of any kind for my son during this 8-hour firefight? And why is it that still high-level administration officials have not been brought before hearings on subpoena? So this resolution, which now has received the number HRES 36, is up to 109 co-sponsors in the House, which is almost the majority of the Republican caucus. This was the subject of an article in yesterday's Hill newspaper on Capitol Hill titled Boehner's Hand Being Forced on Benghazi, that John Boehner, the Speaker of the House, is being faced with a revolt from within his own party calling for a real investigation and not a cover-up from the Republican leadership's side of what Obama was engaged in on September 11th, 2012. Now, that is also being backed up in an interesting way by resolutions that are coming from the states. You could say maybe the states are now taking a page out of our playbook with what we've done for Glass-Steagall in these State House resolutions. We've just found out that the Michigan State House has a resolution that was introduced by 10 members of the state legislature calling for Congress to investigate Benghazi. So this may be one out of several state legislatures that have similar resolutions on that subject. This also intersects an increasing attention to Congressman Walter Jones's letter calling for a release of the 28 pages of the original 9/11 Commission report and attention to what former Senator Bob Graham has called for in that regard, looking at the Saudi connection in terms of financing and logistical support for the support network behind the 19 original hijackers in the September 11th, 2001. There's also indications that there is motion around other aspects of reconvening the 9/11 Commission, including an initiative by Representative Frank Wolf and others that was included in the appropriations budget, which we'll have more details on later. But this is on Benghazi. This is on September 11th. This policy obviously continues with what the Obama administration is announcing, sending 200 personnel to the Jordan-Syria border, continuing to support the anti-government rebels in Syria, a policy which is a replication of what happened in Libya. But also, it's happening in other ways. Over the weekend, there was the Democratic State Convention of the California State Democratic Party. And during that convention, we had eyewitness reports from on the ground that many delegates of the California Democratic Party were standing up and unprovoked, on their own, denouncing Obama and even invoking the action of impeachment because of what Obama has chosen to do, cutting Social Security and cutting Medicare on the famous chain CPI and other aspects of his budget. We just found out also that the Democratic State Convention in California passed a resolution which was co-sponsored and motivated by John Burton, who is the chairman of the California State Democratic Party, calling for the end of unlawful drone strikes, extrajudicial executions, and the restriction of domestic drone surveillance. And this is a very hard-hitting resolution which gets right to the heart of the fact that the drone policy of the Obama administration is a violation of the Geneva Conventions and a violation of international law, and calls for an immediate end to this, an immediate end to extrajudicial assassination of American citizens, and also calls for the reinstitution of congressional authority over war-making powers that this president has repeatedly violated. So we see a revolt forming across party lines against what this president is doing, and the creation of a proto-resistance in various threads which have to be brought together. And my question for you, Lynn, is what is the roadmap that should be followed to continue organizing this effective constitutional resistance to the abuses of this president?
Yeah, this is a matter of cowardice, and also cowardice of a different kind, the kind not to look at the truth. It's not merely ducking what they know, but actually trying to block out from their own attention what they should know. Let's take the most crucial thing in this whole picture. What is our problem in the United States? What's the problem in the world today? What's the leading problem, the great crisis that threatens the entirety of this planet? We go back to 9/11, the original 9/11, when the Saudi kingdom and the British monarchy, working in conjunction through the BAE, organized an attack on the United States. This attack on the United States and this cover-up involved the family of Bush. And it was the Bush family that was acting president at that particular point. We don't know that he had the brains to know what was going on then. But the point was, the fact is, this was a British operation, but which ran with the Saudi kingdom. The same thing was true in the second case of the death and murder of our in North Africa. So the point is, the key issue here is the failure to recognize what? To recognize that the British Empire still exists. It always has existed. The British Empire, and people have to someday come to reality about this thing. The British Empire is a product of the Roman Empire. There is an unbroken connection between the original Roman Empire and the British Empire. The connection is what's called the Venetian connection, and there are two Venetian connections. One is the original Venetian connection, which was done by the leading families of Rome at the time that the Roman Empire was crumbling at that point. They fled up to the waters up north there, and they built up what became known as the Venetian system. The Venetian system is a continuation of the Roman Empire. It is organically a continuation of the Roman Empire. Then we had another section of the Venetian system which came up as the British system. Now, the British system was the Venetian power of William of Orange and Company, that family, which actually set up the British Empire. So now what you've got is this continuation. The Saudi Empire is nothing but an extension of the British Empire. The British Empire is really an extension of the Roman Empire. It went through a whole period of evolutions, but in the course of this evolution, the money system and its other features were always there. And what we did in the United States, what happened was this problem of the British Empire, the Roman Empire, and the Venetian Empire was a curse of Europe. So we had a great man who inspired another great man to begin to cross the waters, across the waters of the Atlantic Ocean, to the Americas. And there were a number of efforts, starting with Columbus, who was inspired in doing this, which led in that direction. And out of that process, there came a selection from all these cross-Atlantic regions, and it became in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Bay Colony, which actually founded the basic conceptions on which the Massachusetts Bay Colony was established. This, at a later point, through a direct connection with the leaders of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, became the American Revolution. And so for what we're dealing with, the attempt has been always to destroy the American Revolution. And that destruction of the American Revolution still comes from the descendants of the Roman Empire, the Venetians of today. And the Venetian system of today is a very evil system. And the British Empire is part of that Venetian Empire. They are our enemy, and they're trying to destroy us finally now. And our view, and my view, is we are not going to be destroyed. They are going to be destroyed.